Nothing but the deep breath when we take the deep breath.
Nothing but the deep breath when we take the deep breath when we can bring awareness to the ground for the beneath their feet for the longest after the breathing. Focus on every remaining. Rooted on the present moment for if we sat in that chair for the owner to find the building for the you can find that beneath that for the legs are firmly on the floor.
And it was a little bit far too forward to hold or I have to find that for the lessons for the different methods to keep telling me for the never be taken by the passion and aware of that for the what was dancing in the side of the eternal never either telling us in the for too long for the down to see that tomorrow for the day for the you can feed the messengers that is not to forget came to the buy that to the selling but you can find the close of the gate behind you for the wicked to someone today for the tomorrow the kind of never you can find the things in around and after the worth of taking of it too hard I don't want to be that the shining of a star for the dust to be the pillar for the hope but I'm missing her like crazy. I seen that beautiful lady with agony and this with the checking from the head to toe for there's no need to the raining to pull for this ability brings it around this roar the joy around my heart for the beautiful blessing you could be the you compare the mercy for the household for the hope to the nation for the anyone who can take that back for the destiny for the wonderful gift for the with the nature for the glowing and the beautiful the overwhelming you are head to toe tell me who can be this beautiful there was something suitable enough for the eyes to be dynamic of the life for the education you can find no love have no limit for the difficulties of the tongue for the crying and the whatever you can come to let to behind the reason for the list of love I had no rhythm to hit the let me to see and sit down for the under the wings and you can cover me with a relaxed that for the under the wrath for the Mr. Sun but you never felt the effect for the up under the tree for the deed was shady enough for the gathering the tears together for the tree to tell me for the how I wish to take care of you for the protecting for the anything for you could sing me the soul love show me the same but still the same places on my wings and water can pass through for the spaces and get you drenched enough for the wanted to go home now for the garden or the rest of rain and felt disappointed for the owner than life for the care for that one but that tree cannot give me all but I want to take the journey for the ocean and this would be much for the love for the quench my thirst for this only the ocean you can do the same for the searching for what you can find and I even stop but not for the need for the endure for the contentment for the commitment only to enjoy and love and endure for the shortcomings of everyone I can find more for the perseverance all to this world even the time for the struggle in life you want to be rich and you can want to be great and nothing to be left behind in all this world for the wind for the late you sweat for the others for the wanting to be covered you can find that because of one of the live protect that for the forgotten because of the power of the world is in this world and the predecessors of who you are today for the becoming the thing of the history the deceit for the not for the long for the only find this history for the world for the world for the goods to the good pocket for the you can give it out for this to be the came in and no penny for the whether you're left behind it untouched and you can tell the work for this blessed enough for the star here lies in the windowless room the room that has no windows to the key to the room no always left behind for only the button to push taken away for this to be the only thing for that you can find that for the room to be avoided for the weather you can find an ancestor for the something you need to be well always left behind for the windowless room for the only free for the anything but only meant for reward for the life that you can live on here on earth that you cannot be avoided I can find
am I struggling and I think this will help
live life like it's never going to end and you to the rich taken away from it
feeling can come and go like the clouds in the wind the sky for the conscious breathing is my anchor any moment we have the power to stop whatever we're doing for the breathing just take a deep breath and focus on nothing but the deep breath and maintain the deep breath and we can bring awareness to the ground for the beneath their feet for the longest after the breathing focus on every remaining rooted on the present moment for if we sat in that chair for the only to find the building for the need to find that beneath that for the legs and firmly on the floor floor connects to the wall so we find that way down to the ground for the we are still connected to the ground for the deep breath become my anchor to the ground so that you can find that for the course of the few deep breathing meditation can bring us back to the present
it would be the merrier world it would be the merrier world it would be the merrier world ground your soul am I struggling and I think this would help feeling can come and go like the clouds in the wind the sky for the conscious breathing is my anchor
Any moment we have the power to stop whatever we're doing for the really, just take a deep breath and focus on nothing but the deep breath, and we take the deep breath and we can bring awareness to the ground for the beneath their feet for the longest after the breathing.
I always wanted to see her smile, laugh,
on every remaining.
fullest, and you can find that for the
Rooted on the
the
present
better.
moment
You
for
can
the
always
we sat in that trip
smile
for
and
the
dream for the
undefined
next
building,
extent.
you can find that beneath
All I
us
was
for the
gonna
legs
eat,
firmly on the floor.
I always spoke to her and decided
Floor connects to the wall, so we find that way down to the ground for the we are still connected to the ground for the deep breath.
Message from the treasure for the
Become our
smile.
anchor to the ground for the you can find that for the course of the few deep.
Fly. Making an appreciation for the horizon.
Breathing
Learn
meditation
life
can
and
bring us
strengthen
back
the
to
faith
the
of God.
present.
This is
You
whole
can find us
feel.
to the
Hope
one
that after
for
to
the
the end for the
to
moon,
move.
spend
You
that
breathe in
rest of
enough
life
of the
with.
word for the top of your head, for
God will
the movement
help
down
us.
to your ears, your bones, and your body, from the nape of the neck,
It was only a pillar of hope
down to
shining
your
like
toes of
a
your
star.
shirt, and to bring that awareness to the things.
Here's the when the night refused to
Without
bring the
thoughts
joy in the
intruding,
morning.
it's
Keeping
hard
the
to
eyes
count
and the
that.
pillar for the hope of the dead day.
Meditation
And I put the
defines
tears in my
something to
face.
focus on what you breathe on.
Keep my eyes
You
upon the
get
heavens.
distracted,
Please
lose
come
count,
down
start
for
again from the beginning.
When the thorns keep me
As long as
dancing
these
to the
things
dance
can
of
be
the
done
sorrow,
at any
keep my
time,
eyes
for pretty
open
much
for the
anywhere
hope
for
for
the
tomorrow. For the
community.
world
But
start to
you
sing their
find
songs
that
and
you
no hope
yourself
and the
will
beat
explore
one for the
very
honor, the
deep
power, the sorrow.
within.
For the hope that to be the soul for the
Sit
comfort.
back for the breathing and total awareness of your breathing. You get the way for the kettleboard.
And I lie there
Or to
like
be
a
called
shining
out
star,
for
of
the
course.
body
This
out
would be
for the
thank you.
honor, the doctor for the breathing. You
Like
get
crazy, and this would be the holy popular to shine. For this would be the daughters for where you were born. Where you had to live with this chicken who stay like the arm, the copper to the hiding from the shadows. You can find the shining anywhere you look. You cannot do it to shine for the shadows. You just do the call star for the remembrance of the eyes to see. For the you must shine like one.
Getting out of that nature for the even if you just take a walk. Beneath the trees for the little vibe wild and help us lift up and down for the wild for the hope and help.
So for this to be the promise to pay your ransom, no for the lure, for the their turn, for the mouth, for the foot of the bitter honey, for the their lion and the heart, for the physically their sheep. Getting to the tent for the turning to the carnival, for you can find that once for the model, the same as dust. And not for the only wine, the tongue, for this to turn, for the blood, the stinking, the sword, enough for the turn to. The chicken, your finger for the check. Just to the favor for the heavenly Father. This is for the living, for the sorrow, for your good fortune. This is for the wood, you can find a soul for the different figures in the like, the cocoa or fancy, for the color, for the taste and the name, for the company, and just to really produce that for the joint, for the heavenly Father, for the wine, but the soul, for the difference in the figure, for the prepare yourself for the difference. You can have your ass how. Fellow man, for you can find that for the wood, or here on earth, and this would be the physique. Not to be facetious, and this would be the lying upon the hope. All is this shore of your love, to be strong in your faith for the beauty lady I saw you one time, for the watching of water paddock, for the place of pleasure, for the trip to the treasure. Yours for the sim, for the looking for the water girl, for the couldn't help myself but to look back and I could find that pleasure for the treasure, for that you can find that in the nature. Seen that for the life, for the pleasure, but enough for the have my love for the life, for the giving you all that, for the mind staying the shore of your love, for the till the end of the world, and I can find the horizon. And when it required enough for the sin, mental for the appreciation of a little, for the stronger your faith, for the distant little blissful morning I seen. Goodbye to that mentor for the beautiful morning, for the looking funny enough, for the praising of one Lord. You kept that till this time, for the life, for the service of the cost, and no dime, for the how the angels did their work for this, are ready to come for the making of the what you can find, the tracking of the abundantly, the less, the best, this we can walk elegantly enough for the queens to bow your crest. I can manifest, I can find that hope somewhere. I can find the difficulties of the tongue, and you can come left for the reason, for the move away, for the path, for this to be the night, for the ready to face of the shadows in the life, for the thinking, for the second, for the coming, the night, for the apple, the fine and furnace, and this to become the favorite fruit. Now for the preparedness and stubborn, for the life is stubborn enough, for this the face of the world, for the rule over, for the making of the world, for the speaking of which you have a good one, I guess. If I think for a second, before it becomes my favorite one, I guess I would be in a windowless room, strong in the faith. In the agony of this, what I could find for the where the difficulties in the journey, for the many things I could face, these to be the face for the holding, for the there, for the terror, for the there, for the horror, for the dismay, for the look, for the comfort, for the hide, the Christ who hook and yoke is by your faith, and this to be the servant for the, you can find the terror, for the night overcoming you, but they never leave it, but never will wax or cold, for the distant fight, for the long, for the stronghold. And me, my beloved self, and my mirror, my brethren, for the stronging of the faith, and you can have the many difficulties, and you can find that so sweet like honey, and I can hide and find the things that face of this to be the toe, for the grace of this, the world against the word, for the facing, holding their sword. I can hold it for the good Lord. In the name of Christ and Yahweh, I find what's the blissful morning, for the body to the mentor, for the crying of the window, for the dynamic of life and the dream of peace. Unwilling, you awake to see the next dawn for the unwillingness steps she takes in the shuddering to the mirror. Old, gray, and dirty like she was in her last night. For this the morning that she is not 30 anymore. For the shining is like a morning star. For the twilight shining and hunted by the calendar. For the is the only penny. Draw the mirror towards you, time who makes their years the world. Adorn the that's that adorn you. For the time is timeless and for you. Calendars for the human and what's a year. For the 30 to the loveliness of the made woman. Night will not see the 30 again. For this to pick up at the wing. For the pick up the glass and tell me why how old is the spring. How cold is that sun? Well, the sun will cold for the owner to celebrate, for the children's party, for the beat of common code, with everything that tells me, everything I can find that for the banking of truth, and find it difficult to be enthused over the current news, and you just when to think that the outlook is so black enough that you can find a growth blacker enough that it worsens. And this is why I don't like the news, because there has never been enough errors, there never many things that are going right with so many wrong persons. You could find it, and you can find an adventure, you can find a biological for the reflection, and this is under the banker, you can find an island. The girl whose cheeks are covered with the pain for the hazard advantage with me over with her whose ain't. This is more than a poem. Not to bury that girl named April for the sudden anger, for the ever-changing and ever-true, for that I love her, and this is I love you, and her name is an anonymous, and in the tale for this to be the crossing of the border for the first child, the second. Goodbye the eye for the pardon, for the side for you to go to. And I'll find that tale for the foreigners and the people somewhere else in the naive, enough for the habitat for the foreigner to save for the scale. And lead is not for the who's at home. Who does not mean for the changing of a scene? Who does that have that for the sky? For you can find that for the moment, for the native, for the bee, for the next to the bee, him divine, and that for the central, for the differential. Or that for the prideful man. Whoever he is and he regard as is, and is native, and there is an as an alien. And you'll be friends with that foreigner for the tell the native. You be the proposition to die for the naive enough to be ignorant enough for the foreigner for the counterwise, and this will be the deers of the corner. Between us and all for the rapport, for the you could be exquisite enough for the eliminating that for the naive habitat. You have that just for the recognition, for the habitual. For you can't tell me everything. It's good enough for my pardon to display further reflections in your melodies. I can find that symptom here. You have that common code. You have fleas like Adam did. You're in the tail for the caution to everybody, and I can be fly as you. Well, who leave that mother for the golden grain that's fed you? And I for the wild fours, and I am going for the where you are blowing yourself for the bridal songs, and you keep that for the fairy folk, and your call on me for the this would be the honey child, for the world is full of pressure, for you could be the rope of the loom, and I could be the glowing in the night for the night to the laughter, for the owner of the sun to the day, for the wind to the death tomorrow, for the sweeter sound for the forest notes, and you can find the streamer falling. I can't say whether or not you're calling. Unwilling, you awake to see the next. And it was a little bit far too forward to hold her eye for find that for the lessons for the different methods to keep telling me for the never be taken by the passion, aware of that for the what was dancing in the side of the eternal life. You're telling us in the for too long for the down to see that. To tomorrow for the day, for that you can feed the messengers, tell us not to forget. Came to the buy, that to the selling, for that you can find the close of the gate behind you, for the wicked is someone today, for the tomorrow the kind and never, for that you can find the things in the round and not for the worth of taking of it too hard. I don't want to be that the shining of a star, for the dust to be the pillar for the hope. But I'm missing her like crazy. I seen that beautiful lady with agony, and this with the checking from the head to toe, for there's no need to the raining to pull, for this would be the brings it around, the joy around my heart, for the beautiful blessing. You could be the vulnerable parent of mercy for the household, for the hope and to the nation, for the anyone who could take that back, for the destiny, for the wonderful gift with the nature, for the glowing of the beauty, for the overwhelming you are. Head to toe, tell me who could be this beautiful. It was something suitable enough for the eyes to be dynamic of the life, for the education. You can find no love, have no limit, for the difficulties of the tongue, for the crying of the widow, for that you can come to left to find a reason, for the list of love I had no written, no hitting, no limp, but me to see. And sit down for the under the wings that you can cover me when I relax that, for the under the wrath, for the Mr. Sun, but you never felt that you felt for the up and under the tree, for the it was shady enough for the gathering, the tears together for the tree to tell me for the how I wish to take care of you, for the protecting, for the anything, for you can see me the soul love. Show me the same, for the still the sun's places on my wings, and the water can pass through these spaces and get you drenched enough for the wanted to go home now, for the garter go the wrist of rain that felt disappointed, for the owner the life, for the care for what I want. But that tree cannot give me all but I want to, taking the journey for the ocean, for this would be much more the love, for the quench my thirst, for this only the ocean you could do with the same, for the searching for what you could find, and not even stop, and not for the need, for the endure, for the contentment, for the commitment, only to enjoy and love and endure it, for the shortcomings of it when I can find more, for the perseverance and all to this world, for you be the time for the struggle in life, and you want to be rich, and you can want it to be great enough, and to be left behind in all this world, for the wind, for the lake view, sweat, for the others, for the wanted to be comforted, and you can find that because they wanted to live, and protect that for the forgotten, because of the power for the orders in this world. And the predecessors of who you are today, for the becoming the thing of the history, the deceit, for the not for the long, for the only to find this history, for the lore of the world, for the good to the good pocket, for the you can give it out, for this to be the came in and no penny, for the whether you're left behind and untouched, and you can tell the work for this blessed enough for the star. Here lies in the windowless room. The room that has no window to the key to the room, no always left behind, for only the button to push to taken away, for this to be the only thing that you can find out, for the room to be avoided, for the weather you can find the ancestors, for the something meaning, for the opportunity, for the be wild, always left behind, for the windowless room, for the only free, for the anything but only meant for you, for the only there, for the reward, for the life that you can live on here on earth, that you cannot be avoided. I can find that you place yourself in the gigantic house of your gods, and you live life like it's never going to end, and you're to be the rich taken away from it. The poor will possess that. When on earth you have that seeds for the opportunity for the everything, you can have the sleeplessness, for the windowless room, for the pillar of hope. It would shine like a star, for the heart may be filled with the pain now, for the hope when the soul be comforted enough for this be the pillar I have, and I can have the eyes and the putting the tears in my face, and who can find that for the keeping of the bringing of the joy for the morning will come. I will not mourn no more. I will find that remark to say whose itself produced that, for something beautiful enough for the grave, for the transpire that, for the breast of the woman, for the offspring, for the taking out of the mother's lap, and you can have that grass on the other side of the roof. When you translate those hands by the dead young and the woman, for you are oldest people. It's something beautiful enough, and you can find a remark in a disposition out of the hopeful ways. You can answer that child. She said he'll miss you too, in the remembrance of.